Hello, my name is Jonathan Ulysses Marino Carr, and I solved the theory of evolution. Now, I actually solved the Big Bang Theory. Well, the Big Bang Theory is a joke. I solved what came before the universe. Okay, what was before the universe? I solved this before I solved evolution. Okay, it took me having to solve that, understanding the power of alpha, beta, and omega. Not God. Well, this is God. I'm talking about nuclear and electric energy. Okay? Protons, neutrons, and electrons. Alpha, which is nuclear energy. Beta, which is nuclear decay into electric energy. And omega, which means growth. Okay? So you put these together and you get growth. Alright? Now this happens on an astrophysical scale, and a biological scale, and a microbiological scale. Okay? I'm going to join our astrophysics with our biology, because understanding this puts our special relativity into perspective. It actually puts our relativity into perspective and the Planck constant. Alright, so mammals wanted to walk on land and fish wanted to walk on land. Okay, so you have the whale shark. This is going to be the X factor. This is the beta carotene gene. Then you have the male, or the whale, which is an alpha carotene. Okay, now the whale shark passes genes into the water. Okay, the mammal, which is the whale, also does. Now, the axis is up and down for a whale's propulsion, side to side for a shark. Okay, this is the X and the Y axis. Okay, this is what they always try to teach us in science and school and dissecting frogs and all this. They're wanting to know this too. Okay, so the whale lineage, this is going to be the Mammo-sapien lineage. This is going to be the Ichthyosapien image, but each one passes genes into the other lineage. That's what gives us our DNA. That's what gives us the double helix. Okay, we inherit the spine and beta carotene genes, which are okay. I'm just going to go here. Okay, I've rounded it down to a couple of genes here. PRSS33 is a spine and teeth gene that we will pass into the Ichthyosapien lineage. Okay, now they are going to pass the beta carotene gene into us, which is the CASP12 polymorphism and cartilage gene. Okay, so you're going to get a lineage of reptiles and birds with this male or the whale spine gene passed into it. Okay, now you're going to get mammals, which are true live birth 4-chambered hearts, getting the beta carotene genes from the fish. Okay, it literally takes the sperm whale and the whale shark both to create the double helix of DNA, which creates everything. A true mammal is always live birth. Okay, it does not lay eggs. A duck is not a true mammal. It's a mammal, but it's an ichthyomammal. Okay, it's an ichthyomammo-sapien. We are mammo-ichthyosapiens. You see what I'm saying? This will eventually evolve into the duckbill platypus. The duckbill platypus lays eggs, but it's mammal. It's a 4-chambered heart and it's warm-blooded. This is the tetrapod This is the tetramorph gene. Okay, this is the tetramorph gene that evolves into a mammal. The theropod gene that evolves into mammal are birds. Okay, when you combine these, you get sauropod. All right, when you combine these in our lineage, you get sauropod, which is what we are. Okay, we are a sauropod. We can isolate or find this gene by using this. This will actually help us understand DNA, and we will actually be able to cure diseases that we are born with. We will understand our DNA so much better once we understand how our evolution actually goes. Okay, the manatee evolves from the whale. It passes a gene. There's a gene that's passed every 3 million years. Eventually, the manatee comes along. Okay, they're dwarf genes. Eventually, the manatee is going to pass a gene, and pinnipeds, such as walrus and seals and stuff, are going to come along the scene. All right, they're going to eventually pass a dwarf gene, which is going to become hippopotamus. Okay, that dwarf gene is going to be passed, which is an elephant gene. Okay, this gene is going to be passed, which are artrodactyls, the odd-toed ungulates, or the even-toed ungulates. Eventually, that's going to pass into the odd-toed ungulates, and that's what we are. We are an odd-toed ungulate. Okay, we are related to whales. We evolved from whales. We are actually dwarfs from whales. Okay? Peto's paradox. Whales don't get cancer for some reason because they got more cells you'd think they would. No. It's so large, it is the cancer. What it does is passes the genes on to us. It randomly passes a dwarf gene every now and then, every 3 million years, that creates an evolutionary response. The brain of the whale shark looks like the human female reproductive system. How ironic is that? Okay? And then you got the up and down axis for the male, up and down. Then you got the flat laying down axis for the female. Just throwing that out there. It's so simple, we would never expect it. We would never see it. Okay? We would never expect it. The manatee, that is important because this is where evolution began 18 million years ago. Okay, we're dealing with relative sizes here that are very important. These are the largest animals in the world. Okay, you have the sperm whale and the whale shark. Okay, imagine this is a motile sperm, and you're looking down on Earth, and it's a little puddle, and the whale itself is a little tadpole. Okay, this is 3 weeks into human gestation. This is when the manatee evolves. Okay, we're going to use human gestation to show how evolution works on a macrocosmic scale. Okay, now when the manatee evolves, this was 18 million years ago. That's 3 weeks into the human evolution or gestation period. Okay, now 6 weeks into gestation is 15 million years ago. That's when the pinnipeds evolved. Okay, 9 weeks into the gestation, this is when the hippo evolved. Now every time in the fetus something else develops. Ironically, that gene develops as a whole species. This is why, okay, this is when our brain is always forming, but the hippo has a very aggressive nature about itself, like a crocodile. That is for a specific reason, because during the 9-week gestation, our brain is forming in a certain way, okay, and this is going to mirror the hippo, all right? 12 weeks into it, our brain grows substantially larger, okay? This is where the hippocampus comes in. The hippocampus of the elephant is very advanced, okay? So this is 9 million years ago. You can even look up the time frames with these modern elephants and walrus and all this stuff. This coincides with what we have in science, ironically, okay? All right, so 6 million years ago, which is 15 weeks into gestation, all right? This is when the rhino gene is passed. All right, look. This is when the scalp develops. This is when the horn of a rhino, which is all hair, becomes, instead of a hair of horn, splits into a gene and becomes horns and hair. You see what I'm saying? And this is the significance of the unicorn, okay? Because the unicorn and all these myths and all this is all Greek, literally, alpha, beta, omega. It's all about alpha keratin and beta keratin, okay? This is what the significance of the unicorn was. That's why it was so special, okay? Because it has to do with our evolution, okay, where we get our hair. Boom. After that happens, 3 million years ago, the giraffe gene is passed. Now, there's coats of hair on these animals. This is when the even-toed ungulates actually evolve, okay? And we are related to them. Believe it or not, we are beasts of burden. We are actually cattle. Biologically, we are cattle. We are related to the cow, okay? Now, in the fetus, fingers and toes develop, okay? Now, this is in a marsupial state when they birth, all right? This marsupial state is where the hands and the feet start to develop, okay? Now, this is a koala bear, okay? See, this is 2 thumbs, 3 fingers. This thumb is going to move up here, and the fingers, you're going to get the human hand, okay? And you're going to get ape. We are related before we became ape, we were marsupials. That was the last evolutionary response, okay? That was the last evolutionary gene to perfect our hands and feet. And then, lo and behold, the ape evolves, which it's tetrapodal in a way, because it can walk around on 2 legs and 4 legs. But it's actually a sauropod gene that we inherit. Because in the frogs, there's a hip gene, specifically for the rear locomotion. This is a spine gene. That's why newts' spines and necks and cervical are so unspecialized. Their face bones are unspecialized. They're very complex. They're special. This is because this is the area of evolution where we get our hip bones and we get our spine bone, okay? It starts with the hagfish or the serpent. That's 400 million years ago, okay? I'm just going with our modern evolution. I've done all of that with the ichthyosaur, the plesiosaur. That's on another video. This is just our recent evolution. But this is where we get it. We get our spine from the serpent, okay? We eventually become a tetrapodal and theropodal. But then those 2 genes will form a sauropodal form. And that's in the lineage, that's in the ichthyosaur lineage. And our mammal lineage, when we do, that's what becomes us and other such primates. So around 300,000 years ago, eventually modern man comes onto the scene. Now, you know how it's saying, God had the design or whatever, but no man was on the earth to till it? Well, technically, that's what this means, okay? The earth, or evolution, or God, nature, whatever you want to say, okay, evolved all the perfect parts, okay? We are literally a chimera of every other animal. We are a chimera of every other animal. We are a dwarf. Okay? It all starts with the Titans. You have to go with the largest animals on Earth. Once you locate the largest animals on Earth, you can start passing mammal genes, okay? Dwarf genes. And that will create the subspecies. But you always got to start with the largest one. Just like the laws of thermodynamics. You can't get more out than what you put in, okay? So you're only going to pass a dwarf gene, which makes the animal smaller. That's why monkeys have tails, because the smaller they get, the more the reptilian DNA is going to be prevalent, and they regrew tails. See, we didn't evolve from monkeys. Apes were the progenitors of monkeys, okay? Monkeys evolved from us. I'm just throwing that out there, okay? Technically, Komodo dragons are proto-amphibious. I call them proto-amphibians because they have to lay eggs just like amphibians, but they lay it on the land. But the thing is, they have a 3-chambered heart. And that technically qualifies them as an amphibian, not a reptile. The only reptile with 4 chambers is a crocodile or an alligator, the crocodilian order. That's a true reptile. Okay? A true mammal always gives live birth. Okay? So never get a duck confused with a true mammal. It's not a true mammal. It's not. A duck-billed platypus is not a true mammal. It's an ichthyomammal. See what I'm saying? This is evolution solved. And once we understand this, we will be able to isolate and locate all of these genes that are passed. And we will literally be able to program DNA.